Okay. So yeah, we've been looking at standard form, but there are two other forms. One form is called vertex form. This is it right here. You notice it doesn't have an A, B, and C. It only has an A. Okay. But instead of B and C, it's got an H and it's got a K. Well, the nice thing about vertex form is that H and K is the vertex. H and K is the vertex. Which, on those problems on quizzes, which of those took you the longest to do? The vertex one, the ones that asking you, or the ones that ask you to graph, right? The ones that, which graph is it? Because you had to find the axis of symmetry and then plug back in to the original equation. Well, now you don't have to do that. You just have to look at it and it tells you what the vertex is. So this one's kind of nice that way. If you have the vertex, you know that the axis of symmetry is also whatever's in the, yeah, whatever's there, whatever's in the X, right? Okay. Get your notes. You don't want to miss the new stuff. Okay. A still is A. If A is positive, arrows up. If A is negative, arrows down. That's still the same. What's that? Okay. The next one is factored form. I call it factored form, but I've seen it called intercept form. So I gave you both names. X, so this part right here kind of looks like what you did on the quiz, right? X minus something, or X plus something, right? Kind of looks like what you did on the quiz when you factored, right? That's why it's called factored form. Okay. A is still out here. Okay. We can tell the x-intercepts from this, so we could tell what the x-intercepts are by solving it like you did on the quiz. Axis of symmetry is halfway in between the x-intercepts. So whatever halfway in between these 2 points is. A is positive, arrows up. A is negative, arrows down. Okay, so we're gonna do a couple of each. The first one, look at the first one. We don't have an A, B, and C, we only have an A. So let's identify what that is. What's A gonna be on the first one? -3. That tells us a lot. It tells us the arrows are gonna be pointed down when I graph it. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go a little bit out of order here. The reason I'm gonna go out of order is because if it's vertex form, what do you think you're gonna start with? Yeah, vertex kind of makes sense. So we're gonna start with the vertex. So the front page said that H, K, H, K. That's going to be the vertex right here. Whatever's here and whatever's here. So let's go back. So what do you think is going to go here? So yeah, I would say the same thing, right? You see the -2 and you're like, oh, it's negative. It's got to be -2, right? It's actually going to be +2, and I'll explain why. What did it start out as? What did it start out as over here? A negative. So in order for it to become -2, what number did I plug in here originally? If I were to plug in a -2, wouldn't that have made that +2? So that's how you can tell. So what I usually do is I say this. No, it has nothing to do with the exponent, it's the sign in the front. So this is how I remember it. H always lies. H is a liar. H lies. If it's a -H, it's actually positive. K tells the truth. So if it's plus something, it's going to stay positive. Okay, H lies. H is a liar. If it's -6, like the problem we have, it's -2, right? So why isn't it -2? Well, it lies. Okay, H lies, K tells the truth. So that's why it's +2. Now this guy out here, the -4, is actually -4. That one tells the truth, right? That one actually just tells the truth, -4. Okay. So now let's go make that dot. Two -4 over 2, right 2, down 4. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to number 1, where they originally asked me to do, which was the axis of symmetry. Now I can go back, and that part's pretty easy because axis of symmetry is always going to be what was x for the vertex, which was 2 in this case. Okay. That's my mirror line. That's my mirror. Anything that happens on the right also happens on the left. Okay. All right, 1 and 2 are done. Maximum, minimum. Okay, so I have the vertex. So I know that this guy right here is going to be the top or the bottom. I know it's either going to go up or it's going to go down, right? Can I tell what it's going to do right now? How do I know that? You guys are right. How do I know that? We already said that, right? We already said that. So we know we're going to have a maximum at, we always give the y. When we want the maximum, we always give the y, not the x. So the maximum is at -1, -2, -3, -4. Okay. Done with that one. Y-intercept. What did we do? What do we always do if we want to find the y-intercept? Plug in 0 for x, the other guy. Yeah, if we want to find y-intercept, we plug in 0 for the other guy. The other guy is an x. So I'm going to plug in 0 for x. Now, everything used to cancel out, right? For standard form, everything would cancel out except the last number, right? That's not what's going to happen today. We have to actually finish it out. Okay. So what do I get here? Let's see. I have got to do parentheses first. So I get -2 inside the parentheses. Everything else comes down. -4, or sorry, 2 times -2 times -2, +4. So -3 times +4 minus 14. -13, or sorry, -3 times 4 is -12. Minus 4 is -16. So I have a y-intercept at -16, 0, -16. I gotta go make that dot. Well, -0, -16 is way off my graph. So I'm gonna kind of guesstimate. I'm gonna kind of estimate where it would be, right? It stops with -10, so -11, -12, -13, -14, -15. -16 would be kind of like right here. Best I could do. Negative 16. I have a dot on one side. What do I do to the other? I got to have a dot in the same spot on the other side. So over here, I'm 1, 2 away. I'm 2 units away from the line. So that means I got to have a dot 2 units away over here. Sketch the graph. Done. Okay. Want you to do number 2 right now on your own. Do number 2 on your own. The 1/4, if you don't like using fractions, change it to a decimal. What's 1/4 as a decimal? 0.25, quarter. Mm-hmm. Yep, A is going to be positive for number 2 for sure. Oh, H. Well, remember H lies, right? It's actually negative, yeah. Yeah, because H lies, remember? H is a liar, K tells the truth. So is it going to be arrows down or arrows up? If arrows are down, then it's going to be a maximum. If arrows are going up, it's going to be a minimum. Right here. If A is positive, arrows are going up. If A is negative, arrows are going down. Okay, so the vertex, again, H lies. H is right here. It should be +5, right? It should be +5 in there, but it's a liar. So it's actually going to be -5. K tells the truth. K tells the truth. Okay, so I'm going to make that dot. left 5, up 2. So that means my axis of symmetry is going to be x equals -5. That's where my straight line, my vertical line is going to go, right through that red dot. Okay. Next. So is it going to be, is that red dot represent a maximum, a top, or a bottom? It actually represents a minimum, yeah. Minimum at y equals 2, because it's going to be arrows up. Arrows are going to be going up. Because A is positive, barely positive, right? Barely bigger than 0, but it's still positive. Doesn't matter. Y-intercept. So the original, I'm going to change it to 0.25. And I'm going to plug in 0 for x. Everywhere I see an x, I'm going to plug in 0. Then I'm going to solve it. I'm going to finish solving it, see what number I get when I do PEMDAS. So order of operation says I got to do parentheses first. So that's 5 squared. Okay. And then I got to do exponents. So 5 times 5 is 25. And then I got to multiply. 0.25 times 25. So what's a quarter of 25? It's a decimal. 6.25. Yep. 6.25. Plus 2. 8.25. 8.25. So if it's an x-intercept, or sorry, y-intercept, x is going to be 0. 8.25, a little bit bigger than 8. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A little bit more is right about there. Well, if something happens to the right, it's also going to happen to the left. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units away. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units away. So it's the other dot's going to be right about there. Then you sketch. What's different about this parabola? It looks wider than our usual ones, right? And you're right, it is wider. What's making it wider than normal? The decimal, yeah, it's actually this part right here. It's A. If A is a decimal or fraction, it's going to be wider than usual. Okay, so let's write that down. I'm going to write it down in the front, right underneath where I have all this stuff down. If A is a fraction or decimal, that's less than 1. So it can't be like 5.8. It has to be a decimal that's smaller than 1, or a fraction smaller than 1. Less than 1. The parabola will be wide, or fat, or whatever you want to call it. So it's either going to look like that, or it's going to look like that. Okay, so if it's a fraction, if A is a fraction. Now, like I said, now I'm not talking about like a decimal that's above, like I'm not talking about like 5.1 or 2.3. I'm talking about decimals that are smaller than 1, 0.25, 0.5, stuff like that. Okay, it's going to be wider than usual. Okay. Okay, so let's go to number 3. We're not going to finish 3 and 4, but at least we'll finish hopefully 3. And then we'll finish 4 tomorrow. Okay, different form now. This is in factored form. Still has an A though. What is A going to be? -1, right? Negative in front, still A. So that means arrows are going to be going down. Okay. All right. So let's go look at this. Okay. So here, I'm going to do this one out of order too. Actually, I'm going to do one that it's not even up there. It's in factored form. So my notes said, if it's in factored form, the first thing I should find is the x-intercepts. I know it's not asking for them, but that's what it said I had to do. So let's do that. So how do I do that? Well, you're going to do it just like you did it on your quizzes when it asks you to solve. Right? When it asks you to solve, the last thing you did was you did this, right? Right? Because I had x minus 1 and x plus 5, and then you set them equal to 0 and solved it. There you go, right? So then you added 1 to both sides, you subtracted 5 from both sides. Those are your x-intercepts. 2 dots. Can you finish this? Why aren't you writing it down right now? You pack up early, that tells Mr. Flores. You pack up early, that tells Mr. Flores, this is too easy. Quiz tomorrow, please. That's right, right? I'll give you time to pack up, don't worry. So where are those dots going to be? If x equals 1, where is the dots going to be? How about right here? Or right here? No, right? I don't want those at that's even though x is 1 there, I don't want them at that spot. I want them on the x-axis. So this is 1, 0 and -5, 0. That's where I want the dots. 1 there. 1 there. The next thing it said, after you found the x-intercepts, was the axis of symmetry. It's halfway between those 2 dots. So find out the halfway point. What's the halfway point of those 2 dots there? Here it is. How do you know where's the halfway point? The easy way to do it is to do this. Add them together, 1 plus -5, and then divide by 2. So if I add them together, I get -4 divided by 2, which is -2. So the halfway is -2. That's my axis of symmetry. Oops. -2. So what am I going to do to use this? How am I going to use this to find the vertex? Plug it back into the original. Plug it back into the original. We'll do that tomorrow. Okay, we'll do that tomorrow, and then we'll finish this up. All right. So it's important not to forget. We'll tape it in tomorrow when we're done with them. That's the next step we're going to do. Because tomorrow I'm going to be like, what's the first step? Okay.